Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I'm Alden, 34 years old, and until a few months ago, I would have told you I was one of the lucky ones. My wife, Marlo, had this warm laugh that carried across a room, a kind of gentle energy that made people lean in without realizing it. She wasn't loud or dramatic. She was the soft place to land kind of person. At least that's who I thought she was. We'd been married for 6 years. Nothing flashy, nothing explosive. Just steady, predictable. The kind of marriage people point to and say, "You two seem solid." I believed that. I trusted that. Maybe that's why the cracks went unnoticed, because stability can sometimes hide the sound of something quietly breaking. It started with the girls' trip. Marlo's best friend Sienna was turning 30, and they'd planned a long weekend at a lakeside cabin 3 hours away. Nothing sketchy, just old friends, wine, and nostalgia. I even packed the car for them, kissed Marlo goodbye at the door, and told her to have fun. She smiled in that soft way she always did and said, "You're the best, Alden." I remember thinking those words would echo pleasantly in my mind all weekend. Instead, they turned into something hollow. When she got back 3 days later, she hugged me. But it was the kind of hug you give a relative you haven't seen in a while. Polite, brief, missing the quiet squeeze she always gave at the end. I chalked it up to exhaustion. But the distance didn't fade. It deepened. She laughed at her phone more. She guarded her notifications like they were state secrets. And when I asked how the trip went, she gave vague answers. Fun, relaxing, just girl stuff. Not once did she mention any moments or funny incidents. That was the first real warning sign, though I didn't realize it at the time. When someone has nothing to reminisce about after 3 days with their closest friends, it usually means they're avoiding the truth. 2 weeks later, her mood shifted again. She wasn't anxious or distant. She was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the heavy kind. The kind that fills rooms. I asked if she was all right. She said she was tired. I asked if I'd done something. She said no. I asked if she wanted to talk. She said maybe later, but later never came. A month after the trip, her symptoms started. Nausea, fatigue, headaches. At first, I worried she was sick. I had no idea how sick the truth was. I came home from work early one Thursday because I'd forgotten a project folder. When I walked in, she was sitting on the bathroom floor, her back against the cabinet, holding a pregnancy test like it was burning her. She didn't see me at first. She just whispered to herself, "This can't be happening." The second she looked up and saw me, her face drained of color. The kind of fear that flashes through someone only when the thing they've been running from finally catches up. "Alden," she breathed. I didn't want you to find out like this." I remember freezing in the doorway. I wasn't angry at first. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't even thinking. My brain felt like someone had turned the volume down on the world. I said her name, just her name, Marlo, and then the truth fell out of her in pieces. She hadn't been tired. She hadn't been stressed. She was pregnant, and it wasn't mine. She started crying loud, shaking sobs, but the sound felt far away, like someone else was listening, not me. She said it happened on the girls' trip. She said she was drunk. She said it was a mistake, that she didn't think something like that could ever happen, that she hated herself for it. But in her eyes, I saw something else. Not regret, not shame, fear. Fear of consequences, not of wrongdoing. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't break anything. I just sat down on the edge of the tub, feeling the tile cold beneath my hands, and asked her the only question that made it through the fog in my head. "Who is he?" She hesitated only a second, but that single second tore through me. Because hesitation means attachment. It means emotion. It means the truth is heavier than the lie. "His name is Callum," she whispered. "He was a friend of Sienna's boyfriend. He was there that night. That night." Just 2 words, but they rewrote 6 years of marriage. And as she cried into her hands, all I could think was this. I had loved her with my whole heart, and she had gambled our entire life on a moment she couldn't even bring herself to fully explain. I didn't speak for a long time. The silence was heavy, filled with all the things I should have said but didn't know how. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to disappear. But mostly, I just wanted to understand how someone I trusted so completely could erase everything we had in one weekend. She tried to explain. She said it had been impulsive, that she didn't know why she'd done it, that it was just a moment of weakness. But every word fell flat. Moments of weakness don't come with pregnancies. Moments of weakness don't hide in whispers. Moments of weakness don't destroy 6 years of promises. The next few days were surreal. I went through our house like I was a visitor in someone else's life. Her side of the bed felt strange, almost foreign. Her toothbrush, her mugs, even the little notes she left on the fridge felt like relics from a life I no longer belonged to. We didn't talk much. Every attempt ended with her looking down, avoiding my gaze. I could feel the tension coiling around us, tightening with every passing hour. And yet, despite everything, I still wanted answers. I still needed closure. Finally, I asked her to sit with me one evening. Just sit and talk honestly. She agreed, though her shoulders sagged like she was carrying the weight of the world. I started with the question that had haunted me since that first confrontation. Why Callum? Her eyes welled up again. I don't know, she admitted. He was different, exciting, not better than you, just new. It felt like something I'd been missing, something I couldn't find at home. Hearing those words was like stepping into ice water. Something inside me shattered quietly. I'd been doing everything I could to keep us close, to nurture us, to be the husband I thought she wanted. And yet, she had found what she claimed was missing with someone else. Someone else I didn't even know. The next hours blurred together. We argued, not with shouting, but with sharp, cutting honesty. Every sentence she said felt like a blade against the foundation I'd built my life upon. And every thought I tried to hold back felt like it was erupting anyway. I finally stopped mid-sentence, staring at her. Do you even love me anymore? She flinched at the question. I don't know, she said. Her voice was small, almost apologetic. But her eyes were honest. And honesty can hurt worse than lies. I realized then that love alone wasn't enough. Love doesn't fix betrayal. Love doesn't erase a choice someone else made when you weren't looking. Love, I discovered, could be cruel if it isn't mutual, if it isn't respected. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever endured. I moved into the guest room, tried to give myself space, and tried to make sense of everything. Friends offered advice, but words felt empty. I had to walk this path alone, step by step, with a growing understanding that my life was no longer the one I thought I had. One evening, while sitting in the quiet of the living room, I thought about all the moments that had built us. The laughter, the small surprises, the comfort of knowing someone had your back. And then I thought about the moments she had chosen differently, moments that had led us here. I realized then that I couldn't control her choices. I couldn't go back and undo her decision, and I couldn't force her to love me in the way I needed. But I could control myself. I could decide what kind of life I wanted moving forward. I could decide that betrayal would not define me, that her actions would not take away my peace, my dignity, my self-respect. The clarity came slowly, but it was undeniable. I packed a small bag one morning, not in anger, not in spite, but in determination. I needed distance to heal, to regain the part of me I had surrendered to someone who no longer honored it. I moved in with a close friend, Liam, whose apartment felt like a sanctuary compared to the house that now echoed with memories of what I had lost. For the first night, I simply lay there staring at the ceiling, letting the reality sink in. I was angry, yes, but more than anger, I felt a quiet strength awakening inside me. A reminder that I still had control over my own life. Weeks later, after she told me she was keeping the baby, the shock faded, replaced by a steady resolve. I realized I could be kind without being a victim. I could show empathy without sacrificing myself. I could love, but I no longer needed to chase someone who had already chosen a different path. I don't know what the future holds with Marlo, with Callum, or with the child she carries. Maybe we will never speak again. Maybe we will, under circumstances I can't yet imagine. But one thing is certain. I will no longer let someone else's choices define my happiness. I am Alden, and I survived the end of the life I thought I had. And in surviving, I found something she cannot take from me: my own strength.